12,000 watts of peak power. 120 km/h speed limit in the app? A 1700 watt stock charger out of the box to charge this wheel in under 2 hours.
Nice.
100 millimeters of suspension travel on a custom designed piston suspension on each corner for ultimate stability and smoothness. Apple Find My built-in?
What is he doing?
He's beginning to believe.
Oh, no. It seems that Kingsong got really hurt. And in my opinion, this wheel should not be called the F22 Pro. This is the MF22 Pro.
Surprise,
So, let me tell you more about it. Jeez.
Wrong way.
Alright, so this wheel has been in the works for a very long time by Kingsong. It almost has some sort of mythical status, but I'm very happy to have it here, and today I'll tell you my sort of first impressions and the first look on the F22 Pro. And the next video on the channel will be a sort of first ride review of this wheel. So subscribe if you don't want to miss out on that. Huge thanks to both MyEWheel and Kingsong Europe for providing me this wheel for testing purposes. If you do want to pre-order a Kingsong F22 Pro, head on over to myewheel.com, and there you can also use my coupon code WRONGWAY to get an additional 5% discount on the wheel. MyEWheel is the EUC distributor I work with for the European region, so I highly recommend their shop. With that said, I'm very excited actually to show you all of the interesting things about the F22 Pro, what I like about it initially, and what is maybe not so nice. So maybe you're a bit surprised by my enthusiasm, and you probably have a good reason for that. A while ago we made a live stream with 2001 Pack, Albert and Christine, and there I put the Kingsong F22 Pro pretty down low on the list.
Kingsong F22 Pro. Wow, what an exciting new release. Wow, I'm so excited for that wheel. Aren't you, Albert?
Very. I feel like Seed kind of does it disservice though, because it's like it hasn't come out yet. So maybe it's like the underdog, you know? Or we feel like it's gonna be so shit and our expectations are so low. And then their god tier firmware can bring it up a level.
You know what? Maybe that's their marketing strategy, just to make it like not appeal at all. So the bar is set so low, people can be just like positively surprised.
So my anticipation for this product was very low, and maybe that's also a good thing, because I guess from a very low expectation you can just go up from that point. In any way, when I got the box inside my apartment and I saw how it's packed, and then I sort of opened it up, I was like, damn, like, this is something else. I already did put some kilometers on this wheel, and I'll tell you about my experience a bit later. But my first impressions are like, wait, hold on, is this some sort of evil twin brother of Kingsong? Is this still the same company? Because this is pretty badass.
How? Hold on, bro. How?
All right, so before I get into like talking about all of the intricate parts of the F22, like for example the charge port, which is underneath the light, and some other interesting things, let me guide you through the specs a bit, and maybe a bit of a backstory too, because this wheel has been in development for a very long time. For such a long time actually, that it already has a Pro model without a F22 non-Pro version out of the market.
How do I know you can deliver? You don't.
So it was so long in development that it already has a second gen product without the original being out on the market. So I guess Kingsong had to work a lot of things out with the F22, and actually I am not mad at all for that. Like it's pretty funny to release like a Pro without the F22 being available at all to the market, but I do actually prefer that than getting a X-Way from Begode, which was a death trap. With that said, it's finally here and we also have the final specs. First of all, let's talk about the battery. Here we have the highest voltage battery pack available on the market right now, made by Kingsong, which is 176 volts peak voltage. 42 batteries in series and 4 in parallel, using the high quality Samsung 50S cells. The total battery capacity is 3,108 watt hours, which should get you about, I don't really know with those wheels. It really depends how thirsty it is. I guess I'll have to make a range test first. I would say that with my weight, about 80 kilograms, 75, 80 kilograms, it would be anywhere between 90 to 110 kilometers. We'll see how it goes. With like usual riding between 25 to 35, 40 kilometers an hour. When it comes to the charger, it's huge and heavy, but it's quick. I wish there would be an option to turn down the amperage if you don't want to trip the breakers. It's 10 amps for 230 volts and 8 amps for 110 volts in the US. So yeah, huge and heavy, not adjustable. Not adjustable is a bummer, but at least it's quick. So yeah, interesting. The MF22 Pro also comes with a C38 motor now, with a nominal power of 5,500 watts and a peak power of 12,000 watts. Now, how those numbers translate into real life, we'll have to see if it's actually good at torque, but just raw spec-wise, pretty impressive. A key difference between other wheels on the market is the suspension design. So the Kingsong F22 Pro features 4 suspension pistons, where 2 of them are air shocks that you can inflate according to your weight. And there's even information in the instruction manual to what pressure you should inflate those pistons. Now, the main thought behind this is that you have no chassis flex at all, which is definitely happening on Lieberkin wheels. And after riding this and comparing it to Begode wheels, I feel like Begode wheels have that too. This thing is pretty rigid.
Oh, okay. I see what you did there.
With 100 millimeters of travel and a pretty solid suspension design, you know, the oil being in a closed loop, etc., this could be the new standard for electric unicycles if it works in a long time. Because we have more suspension travel than on the Lieberkin wheels, and we also hopefully have more durability than wheels with a linkage design and a singular damper in the back and sliders on the sides. The weight of the wheel is 48 kilograms, so it is a very heavy chunker. As heavy as the ET Max pretty much, but much heavier than other performance wheels. So we'll have to see how this translates into your trail riding and your usual riding around the city. Now, with that said, let's go from bottom to the top of the wheel. I'll tell you about all of the interesting things about the Kingsong F22 Pro. Raptor. The tire is something really familiar. It's the CST C186 14 by 2.75 inches. This is the only thing that looks pretty small on the wheel. The wheel is huge. It's absolutely ginormous, but the tire looks a bit small on it. So maybe in the future we could get a 90 by 90 upgrade. I don't know if it would fit here. It does ride well with this tire. It just looks a bit small compared to the rest of the wheel. Definitely it will provide you with plenty of grip. And if you want to equip this wheel towards street riding, I would suggest replacing this tire for a street tire or ordering it with a street tire to begin with. When it comes to the rim of the wheel, it looks to be very, very similar to what we had on the S22 Pro. I don't know if it's reinforced in any other way, but what is actually impressive is that the bearings inside of this wheel are by SKF. This is a German company, so you shouldn't have any issues with the bearings whatsoever for a very long time. It's very nice that out of the box, Kingsong gives us high quality bearings inside of the product instead of no-name bearings that we will have to bear replacing later on in the process.
He's beginning to believe.
A thing that a lot of riders were concerned about, and I was concerned about that too, is that the suspension is exposed here on the bottom. Now we have some sort of plastic here. I don't know how much how strong it will be during actual big impacts, but hopefully it protects the suspension a little bit on those sides. It doesn't come over to the inside of the stanchion here, I don't know what the name is, or of the piston, so some dirt might get into here, which then will need to be cleaned off, or the seals here will prevent it from entering the inside of the suspension, but at least we have some sort of protection here on the edges against impacts. We also get some new pedals by Kingsong, and those are actually really interesting because they not only have very sharp studs, and they're quite long too, we also have those sort of, I don't know, scratchy bits in the middle, and actually underneath my foot I did feel a difference. Now, as I always say in every video that has pedals with milled-in studs, I would prefer NTB studs that are interchangeable and that are more grippier, but this seems to be pretty good out of the box. Now with that said, the pedals are they big? They're not the biggest actually. For me the size is okay. I don't know, maybe for bigger riders, an inch or two more wouldn't hurt. Does it ever hurt? No, it's actually always pleasurable. What am I talking about?
Stop it. Get some help.
Kingsong also decided to give us very, very nice mudguards. Like, look at this. They're so wide, they're made out of plastic, and they definitely cover the tire nicely. The same thing is in the back. Not only do we have a big, strong and durable mudguard, we also have a rubber flap in the back that will prevent water splashing into our soles. That's something I learned from Philomena Kunk.
Do we get judged for the cleanliness of our souls when we get to heaven?
We also do get a very, geez, it's so robust, kickstand in the back, which is also out of the way for clearing very steep declines or just going downhill, doing drops. So that is also nicely thought out. And again, so durable. Damn. On the side of the wheel, we also get Velcro out of factory. It's, I don't know how it will be in the sort of final production version, because maybe this is just like a first batch or some sort of prototype, but the Velcro goes over those metal handles, which doesn't look so cool, but it provides you with more space to put your pads on the side. There is no Velcro here on the bottom though, which is very weird because that's where I usually put my bottom pad on to have a heel hook. So I will ride a little bit with those pads, but later on I'll definitely stick some pads here on the bottom because a heel hook is pretty crucial for riding off-road and doing more tricks on your wheel. Now with that said, it's very nice to have some Velcro out of the box and a good surface area. It seems like Kingsong really didn't choose the wrong way to make this wheel. Now when it comes to the pads, they're, in my opinion, a bit small for such a big wheel, especially the brake pad. Now probably you can just like move them around, make them fit your own style, and especially the bottom pad here is quite narrow, so for a lighter wheel I would say that would be okay, but for a 48 kilogram wheel I think they're a tad too small. But as said, I'll try to ride a bit on them. They definitely hold in place nicely, and it's great to have some of them out of the box on your wheel so you can start riding right away. I do not mind it too much if manufacturers don't give me any pads in the box, because then you can just select whatever you want. You don't have any, pads too much lying around your house. What I do get pissed about is when I don't get a nice flat surface for my pads. But on this wheel, I do not have to detract any points regarding this issue. Now moving on to the handles here. Those are very, very ergonomic. It's very nice to ride seated on this wheel and hold on to that. It's nice to lift up the wheel, and actually I can remove the seat so you can see the one in the back a bit better. This is a pretty nice setup and they seem durable, but I still do think that Leaperkim might have an edge here. Those might just, shatter or bend, and then you need to buy more expensive new parts. I think that the choice of nylon in bumpers is the best choice out in the market, or something softer that will break and then will prevent any sort of threads and screws from damaging. This is something I needed to tell you about because I talked with Albert, who is at Emotion now, and he said that on a V14 the rear bumper is so soft and breaks because otherwise the thread might break. that holds on the bumper, and that might happen in Leaperkin wheels. So small digression, I like how sort of ergonomic those things are, but they might be a bit expensive to replace during a crash, and I think still that nylon might be the best choice for bumpers on a wheel. Now I needed to change the angle a little bit for the front light here because there's many interesting things in this area that I totally didn't expect. Number one, this is not just a headlight. This is also the place where you charge up your wheel. This is a GX 20-4 port, so the same as Begode, but you totally won't be able to charge it up with a Begode charger since we have 176 volts here instead of 134. So here are the two charge ports. Stock charger, again, 10 amps, and you can use 20 amps using both chargers. Insanely fast charging speed, 40 minutes for a full charge. I do like the location of these ports, definitely better than what was on the S22. Now, here we also have the lights with a badass sort of splitter here. It does have a little bit of a cutoff, but I don't think it's the best light for street riding. Definitely pretty good for off-road. Actually, a little update here. I had the wheel for a very short time, so that's why I recorded on the phone. The cutoff point actually looks pretty solid, so it's to be determined if it's not bad for street riding, because it does have a cutoff point and it's pretty wide too. So I guess I'll just need to test it for a bit longer to determine whether the light is good or not. And maybe when you point it down a little, then it'll be fine for riding around the city too. On the top, we get a orange button, which does several things. It engages the lift mode, so the wheel won't balance if you lift it up. For that, you need to double press. If you long press it, you turn on and off the wheel. If you short press it, you cycle the light presets. So off, or sort of automatic, because this light also has a light sensor, so it turns on during the night. On in the strongest setting, then a 50% brightness setting, and then off again. And yeah, lots of features to just a light. This is definitely proprietary, and sadly, therefore, you won't be able to add any sort of custom lighting onto the F22 Pro because it also has, you know, the ports built in, the light button, etc. So on one side, it's nice to have all of these features here, but on the other side, it's a bit limiting. It's kind of hard to see it here, and hopefully it will focus, but in the back here, we have an additional area, and there we have a pretty hard to access port. This is not so easy to open, but here it is. And here we have a suite of additional connectors. On the right, we have a XT30 plug for quick charging, so you don't need to use the chargers on the light, you can just use this. So yeah, the F22 Pro has a total of 3 charge ports. Again, up to 20 amps. Fast charging. Here we get a USB-A port, which looks a bit jank, to be honest. You can see everything in the back here. I think it's just like a clear see-through plastic here. And then on the left side, we also get a USB-C port for charging your phone. So additional 3 ports on the wheel. Pretty cool. A huge power bank. On the back of the wheel, we get an additional speaker. Now that's an option. You can buy it with the speaker or without it. The speakers are of actually amazing quality. Listen, super loud. I wouldn't listen to the wheel while riding, but you could definitely just ride this wheel to some sort of, meeting with your friends and just use this as a speaker instead of your JBL Flip or whatever. I genuinely think that this is pretty much as good as your small Bluetooth portable speakers. Also like the LEDs here. So loud. Really not bad at all. It has a 15-watt tweeter and a 20-watt woofer. It's a bit plasticky, it doesn't look so nice on the wheel, but if you turn it on, you get a bunch of cool sounds, which I like, so listen to that. And you can set them up in the app. Ooh. Now, of course, for some of you, it might be just a gimmick and you don't need it. That is fine. I kind of like it when it turns on. It's like... Again. All right. We also do get a light in the back, not the brightest light, very similar to what we have on the S22 Pro, but it does look a little bit brighter. Still obstructed by the handle, obstructed by the speaker. Yeah, here Kingsong you can learn a lot from Kim. They have a lot better lights than whatever this is. Now I will make a full sort of review of the suspension once I get to ride the wheel a bit longer. So on the Kingsong F22 Pro we have once again 4 pistons. I'm not 100% sure how it works, but at least I can tell you about the settings that I found on this wheel and like what you actually need to pump up, because it's partially also a ear suspension system. So number one, you need to pump up those pistons, which are this corner and this corner, not each corner, like those have no valves. And there you can pump it up to a pressure which is according to your weight. And this is also in the instruction manual. Pumped it up to like 150 PSI or 170, and for now it's okay. And there is no compression dial on the suspension. I guess this is sort of the pressure that you put into those pistons on these corners according to your weight and riding style. But you can also select a preload, which are on the opposite sides. So you can set up if you're standing up higher on the suspension or lower. You sort of preload the suspension. And then going back to those suspension pieces, there's also a rebound dial to select how slowly the suspension comes back after it compresses. So a different system definitely than what we have on Kim, where we have rebound on one side and compression on the other side. And there, sadly, we have quite a bit of chassis flex because those suspension pieces just move around to the side. And also different than systems that have sliders just in the middle and then a single damper on the rear. Now the question is, of course, how durable will it be? Will it survive for a long time? Is it actually good in the long run? We don't know, but I think it's pretty cool that they sort of implemented that and they have their own way of making the suspension. For the first sort of meters, kilometers I was doing on this wheel, I was very surprised how maneuverable it is, especially for a 50 kilogram wheel. It's very precise and concise. It really listens to what I wanted to do. So it's a good sub.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
With that said, I'll definitely talk more about the suspension in the ride review of this wheel. Now, on the top area of this wheel, there is quite a bit of stuff. There is the seat, which is in the box. Yes! They're listening. In the box, and it's mounted with Velcro. Quite sturdy, very big, comfortable to shove your ass on this wheel. Very, very nice. But even without the seat, it's very comfortable to sit down on this wheel as it is. We also get a standard screen, which we find on other Kingsong wheels too. We can see the speed and the battery at the same time. And it also shows you the state of charge while you're charging your wheel. Very nifty, big, readable, nice. I mean, there could be a couple more parameters there next to the speed and battery, but at least they're very readable and accessible in a sort of good position, or maybe a bit more to the front would be better, but good screen. Yes. And the last thing that I wanted to talk about on the top is the trolley handle. Now, sadly, we do not have a locking trolley handle on this wheel. I suppose that if they don't add that on the final version, it will be a real bummer, because if this wheel starts tumbling, by the force of inertia, this will just roll out on its own, and probably there will be a lot of F22 Pros with a broken trolley handle, similar to what happened on the S22 Pro. It's a very long trolley handle. This wheel is quite comfortable to push around, even though it's super heavy, because this is, well, maybe it's not mega sturdy, you can see how much it moves, but it's on a nice height and it's sort of sturdy enough. So definitely it sucks that it doesn't have any sort of locking. I mean, it has some sort of locking on the top, but really it's not too strong. But yeah, we do have a trolley handle here, and it's in the front. And if you want to enable Find My on the F22 Pro, it comes built into the wheel. You turn on the wheel and then you press the power button 3 times to enable it. Then you go into your Apple device and you connect it with the sort of Apple Find My chip in the wheel, and it actually works. It's amazing. It's the first wheel that ever comes with Apple Find My, or any sort of tracking device. So if it gets stolen, you know where it is, and it also just gives you peace of mind to know where your wheel is. So super awesome that this wheel actually comes out of the box with Apple Find My. It would be awesome to also have something that works with Android, but at least there's something on this wheel. So that is pretty cool. All right, so this is your first look at this wheel. Obviously, I'm pretty excited, but I just tell you how I feel. Like, you get less excited after a while, and if you find out more about it. But my first impressions are just like, this is pretty badass. Like, just the way it looks, just the way it sort of, you know, it has a huge presence about it. Not only because it's huge, it's really like something different, and I totally didn't expect that from King Song. Plenty of power, really smooth suspension, lots of sort of different innovative things on it, like the 176 volt system and super quick charging, even out of the box. All of the necessary accessories are on the wheel out of the box, so you don't need to spend a lot more money for pedals. You could, but you don't have to. Same with the pads, you could, but you don't have to. You don't have to buy an additional seat. So yeah, and the kickstand is good, the mudguards are cool, and all of that is for 3,600 euro. Now, you can get a lot of stuff for 3,600 euro. Probably a lot more reasonable stuff, but compared to what is out on the market, it's a pretty interesting value proposition when it comes to sort of my way of looking at it. It still has also IPX6 water resistance, by the way, because the Lynx costs very similarly, but I think that the software here and the ride experience, with Leaperkim, you always sort of work your way around the software, and here you're like with the software. There's of course also the Begode wheels, but from those that I got recently, I didn't have a great experience. So I hope that this will be more durable than then, but it seems to be like this, but we don't know. We don't know yet. I didn't test it. Not a lot of people have this wheel in the world, so we'll see. And compared to what is available at InMotion, there isn't really any direct competitor from InMotion to the King Song F22 Pro, because the V13, like the suspension there, I just don't want it. I don't want the drumstick suspension. Lots of great things about that wheel, but definitely not the suspension. I loved the V13 the most when it didn't have any. So yeah, it's a pretty interesting value proposition right now. Even though it's expensive, for getting around the city, probably you can get a moped, get a bike, e-bike. Lots of the things can be more sort of reasonable than the F22 Pro. But yeah, I'm pretty surprised and pretty like amazed about what King Song was able to do. And it seems like if you actually take your time to develop a wheel, you might make something that makes more sense. So yeah, who would have thought?
What is he doing?
He's beginning to believe.
So with that said, if you're still here, leave a like on the video. Subscribe to see more content like this. I'll see you in the next video. See you soon. Poof.